All right, we are now doing examples 9 and 10. So, again, our routine is we plug in the limit we are heading to. We plug in the c. And again, if you notice on this one, we are using h goes to 0. So when I plug that in, I end up getting x plus 0 cubed minus x cubed over 0 for the h. And we do, in fact, get 0 over 0. So what is that telling us? More to do. And if you notice this one, we have a cubed. So we need to expand on this limit as well. Now, back to some algebra skills. So if you notice, this cubed, it is multiplying it by itself 3 times. So if we expand that, we now have the limit as h goes to 0. We're going to have x cubed plus 3xh cubed plus 3x squared h plus h cubed minus x cubed over the h. And of course, we keep simplifying. So in this particular case, if you notice, the x cubes go to 0. So then we have this to take the limit of and to do some more simplifying with. So we have the limit as h goes to 0. We have the 3x h squared plus the 3x squared h plus the h cubed all over h. So if you notice, they all have an h, so we could turn around and simplify it that way, but I actually like to show you this step. So if we have a GCF of an h, we would have 3xh plus 3x squared plus, let me write that with a little bit more room, so plus h squared all over h. And again, what happens? Those on the outside, they go to 1. So we end up with the limit of h going to 0. And we have 3xh plus 3x squared plus h squared. Let's go ahead and plug in our 0 for h. We would have 0 times that plus 3x squared plus the 0. We would end up with 3x squared. So again, let's talk about what we did. We plugged in c. We ended up getting 0 over 0. This particular case, we needed to expand. And then we ended up getting our function as our limit. All right, on to problem number 10. So the first thing we want to do is plug in that c value of a 7. So we're going to get a 3 minus the 7 plus 2 all over 7 minus 7. And if we do that, we get 0 over 0, which means there's more we need to look at. So again, if you guys can recall, when we have a radical, we are going to need to do the conjugate. So here we go. So the limit as x goes to 7 of this numerator and this denominator, we have to multiply them each by the conjugate. And again, I want you to be sure and remember that since this is a negative here, your conjugate is the opposite sign. So we are going to go ahead and do FOIL in the numerator, and you would get 9 minus the x plus 2. I'm going to keep these as factors in the denominator. Because why? Chances are the one factor will be able to reduce. So, something to think about. When we simplify the numerator, we get a negative x plus 7 over an x minus 7, 3 plus square root of x plus 2. What I can do is change the signs so that that one and this in the numerator can be canceled out. I'm going to go ahead and write this additional step just so you can see it. Okay, so I am doing the limit as x heads to 7, and in that numerator, I'm going to factor out a negative 1, so that if you notice, those two factors will be able to reduce to 1. That goes to 1. So now we can plug in the 7, and we end up with negative 1, 3 plus 7 plus 2, which gives us negative 1/6. So we have our limit output as negative 1/6. So what did we do for our technique? We plugged in C. We ended up getting the 0 over the 0. So we used the conjugate, and we ended up with a value. And again, since we have that 0 over 0, it is discontinuous at the whole of what were we headed towards 7, and our output negative 1/6. Okay, so that is 9 and 10 examples. I'll see you next time.